Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, welcome, everybody. More persons are joining. So let's stay tuned and
Good
very
evening,
soon.
everybody. Welcome. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me too?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
Okay,
welcome.
everybody. More persons are joining. So let's stay tuned and very soon. Everybody, welcome. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me too?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, welcome.
Everybody. More persons are joining. So let's very soon. Welcome. Can you hear me? So let's very soon. Welcome. Can you hear me?
Glory, please mute your mic.
Please mute your mic. Glory.
Body welcome. So what to say? Odina, can mute your mic. Thank you. So welcome everybody once again. Welcome to our midweek service according to boss. So before we start, Tyrese, mute your mic. Thank you. You for today's class. We ask that as we start, may you start with us. Give us wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. We are going to learn today. We will not just be a hearer, but we are going to do what we are going to learn today in the name of Jesus. Father, we pray that our tutor is going to take us on today's topic, that you bless him with more wisdom, knowledge, and strength and grace to give us today's teaching in the name of Jesus. Today's class is open in the name of the Father, name of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. For in Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen and amen. Welcome everybody to today's class as we invite our boss, Mr. Eze Maximus, to take the stage and give us today's blessing. Welcome, sir. Hello, sir. Okay. Can you hear me? Please, if you can hear me, say you can hear me. Anybody?
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir. Welcome, sir.
How are we doing?
We are doing great, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Can I be heard? Only Vicky is responding.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Oh, Dixon, you're welcome.
Good evening,
T,
Thank
you're
you, sir.
welcome.
Thank you,
Chris, you're
sir.
welcome. Abigail, you're welcome. Lulu Ebuchiem, you're welcome. Ordinaka, you're welcome. Taris Banks, you're welcome. While we wait for others to come, I would like to especially thank each and every one of you for joining us again today. And I would like to especially I would like to apologize for, I think it's last Thursday I wasn't here. Is it 2 Thursdays now, just one? They have not shown up.
It's one last Thursday.
Last Thursday I wasn't here. I believe that the coordinator for last Thursday did justice to the task, right? Who was here last Thursday, please? Can we discuss, please? Who was here last Thursday? We have a very important topic to discuss tonight. So don't go anywhere yet, right? So, but I just want to refresh my mind for last Thursday. Who was here last Thursday? Please just tell me if you were here last Thursday. Gilbert, were you here on last Thursday?
What?
You're welcome, please. You're welcome, Mr. Gilbert.
Thank you. Good evening.
Happy to have you.
I'm happy to hear from you also.
Yes. Were you here last Thursday?
Yes.
So good. So put us on a refresher course. What was the topic for last Thursday? What was discussed?
So some challenges are taking over some points, please. Excuse me. But you discuss a lot. You discuss at length, you know. Sorry, sir. I beg you.
No problems. I think your case is also the same for almost everyone because nobody's unmuting their mic to brief us what happened last week Thursday.
Good evening, sir.
Odinaka, what happened last Thursday?
Okay, we learned the topic was 5 reasons for continuous learning.
For real estate consultant. So what were the 5 reasons? Can you name 1 or 2 of them? You don't forget to. Assistant Associate Coordinator has forgotten. Who is Mr. Gilbert not to forget? I think this is actually going to form the tone of our training this evening. How to learn without forgetting. I think that is an important topic to discuss. Don't you think so?
I think so, sir.
Who else supports Vicky on this? Because it's obvious that 90% of us in this in this room tonight, of course, we are adults. And because we are adults, we are always busy. And when we are busy, the tendency of us forgetting what we've learned is high. So who else believes or supports the fact that we need to teach on how to learn without forgetting?
Hi, sir.
Grace supports that too. So it's an important element to look into. I think I will have to do a little bit of crash course on that before I go into the nitty-gritty of today's training. But before I do that, I would like to once again thank each and every one of you for tuning in tonight and joining us in our midweek service, like I always call it, where we get to refresh our minds, help us to relearn, unlearn, and position ourselves for the marketplace, because it's actually a very competitive place to be in, especially now and time as a country, as a nation, as an economic driver of the country. Real estate sales industry is a very competitive space to play in currently. So if you are not priming yourself for the top position, there is the high tendency that you're going to be lost in the crowd. You're going to be lost in the in the crowd. So it is important that you don't miss Thursday's trainings, and knowing fully well how how will I put it, how how we literally don't remember most of the things we are taught. So exposing ourselves to situations like this, where we are continuously fed with new information or reminders, is important, because most of the time, many of us don't have that personal discipline to sit ourselves down and truly go through most of these things on our own. Believe you, many of these things you're being taught here on Thursdays, many of them are actually in public domain. They are not hidden, most of them, but it's your ability to research them out and learn them and literally, assimilate and work with those things that becomes a problem. So on the first part to learning to remember is the fact that you must be trained, first of all, on how to literally learn, how to literally become a learner. You must become a learner first. That's the first step to becoming somebody who doesn't easily forget what they learned. So the first step is that you must become a learner. Write it down. You must become a learner. So for example, many of us call ourselves for the men folk, many of us are addicted to watching football. So for every weekend, you must make out time to spare yourself that 90 minutes or more to at least watch your favorite football club in Europe. I mean, that is actually one of our very guilty pleasures for men. So no matter what your schedule is for that Saturday, you actually plan ahead for Saturday or Sunday, depending on the day your team is playing, and you somehow knock off that 2 to 3 hours on your calendar to watch that your team play. That means that you've been able to train yourself on how to watch football effectively. Same way you can train yourself on how to learn. So what that means is this: you need to intentionally subjugate yourself to loving learning. Let me repeat. You need to intentionally condition yourself to loving learning. It's actually a hard nut to crack, but it is achievable, it is doable. And that is the differentiating factor from those who are in the top 1% and those who are not, every other person. Why everybody's in this training tonight is because we want to become better version of ourselves. We want to change our stories. We want to change who we are. We want to become people of impact. We want to become authority in the industry. Those things are actually on surface level. They are wishes. They are hopes. On surface level, on face value, they are wishes. They are hopes. So one of the ways you can actually position yourself on a journey, one of the ways you can actually put yourself on a journey towards achieving that your hope, that your wish, is what you are doing here tonight. Is making yourself available at the place of learning. But unfortunately, because we are people who we are not trained on how to become learners, we are conditioned to learn. So because we have not been impacted that character of learning, so we only turn up when there is a nudge, or when there is a preempt, or when somebody is organizing a learning situation. So that is the only time we can make ourselves available. On our own majority of the time, we are not students. We are not students. So for example, why we are here tonight is because a system has been set in place, right? There is a company called Win Realty. There is a group called Win Associates for Win Realty. There is somebody called Vicky and Odinaka who actually leads these teams, this group. So because they lead this group, they somehow begin to preempt the people in the group that on a Thursday by 7 p.m., so class is going to hold. So because this is how we've literally been led from primary one or nursery one, as the case may be, up until now. This is our only pattern to learning. And that largely forms the habit we have towards learning or around learning. It's a very flawed habit, very flawed habit. It is not an effective way of becoming a learner, first of all. Talk more of becoming somebody who learns and never forgets. So many of you here literally wow at how many thought leaders are able to recall some quotable quotes from books they read 10 years ago, 5 years ago. I believe that wows many of us here. You don't need to unmute your mic. I know that does. You begin to wonder how is it possible that this particular thought leader is able to remember a very specific quote in a book that is so voluminous and is able to render it effectively and make sense out of it. That thing that person is doing, 99% of the other human beings on this planet cannot do it. It's only that 1%. And that is where you ought to be looking up to all the time. There is nothing that is important enough to remove your sight or to distract you from pointing your gaze on becoming that 1% in your industry. Nothing is, not even your husband, not even your wife, not even your family, not even your kids. Because the more you become better version of yourself, the more you help people around you, the more you become a better auntie, the more you become a better wife, the more you become a better husband, the more you become a better mommy or daddy, as the case may be. So there's nothing that should distract you from putting your gaze on that 1% pedestal. So those people you see who are very articulate with references like that when they are talking, based off the books or classes or courses or coaching sessions they have engaged in, these are people that have mastered the art of learning. They have mastered the art of being a lifetime student. And I cannot even overemphasize on that. Because why many of you are forgetful is because you trivialize learning in the first place. You have a very bad culture towards learning, which is the fact that It is only when it is probably free and somebody is organizing on your behalf. That's the only time you can make yourself available. And believe you me, it's only 0.5% of us in this class tonight who have a notepad on their hands and a pen on their hands. You can prove me wrong. Honestly. And for that 0.5% that is having notepad and pen on their hand, believe me, nobody's going to go back to their notes tonight. Nobody. Nobody's going to go back to this note tomorrow. Nobody's going to go back to this note next week. So you are a bad student. And it's not even to spite you. It's for you to have a self-assessment. On a lighter note, you're a bad student. So how do you want to remember what happened last week, Thursday? How do you even want to remember what you learned yesterday? So because you have been a bad student all your life, you have trained your brain to think and act in a certain way. So one of the things that actually paid the price for you being a good student is the fact that you became a consumer of junks and things that entertains you. So that is why you can literally be able to narrate a movie that you watched last 3 years, last 4 years, but you cannot necessarily be able to speak effectively on a book, in quote, if you've read it, or even read any book at all that you read last week, or even last month. So it's a conditioning issue. It's a learning issue. It's a learning default. So for many of us, this is our current state, but we've never wrapped our minds around it as to why it is happening. Now I'm beginning to give you an insight that you can actually look on and dismantle that stronghold for your own good. Because when you don't know what is worrying you, you wouldn't even be able to know how to destroy it in the first place. So now you know that you have a learning issue. And you now know the first step towards dismantling that issue. It is now left for you to act on it. That is the second phase of learning. Action. Action is the second way after you must have become a student, you will become a massive and instant action taker. So now you've become a student, which means that you, on your own, you are always exposing yourself to great materials per time on your subject area. So for example, after this night, you go back to begin to consume every video that has to talk about sailing real estate, or begin to download ebooks that talks about real estate, and begin to actually, put your mind to those kind of things. You begin to consume them, begin to read them, begin to study them, begin to watch them. Begin to unfollow those pages on Instagram that are not helping you, and begin to follow some of these thought leaders that are constantly, giving out values around the subject area you're currently functioning in. That's the first step. It means that you're gradually conditioning your environment to make you a better learner. So when you have not started on that path, it means that you are intentionally making yourself to become a student. It's not going to be easy, because for the past 2 decades of your life, you have been a certain kind of person. You have unconsciously or consciously conditioned yourself to think and behave in a certain way towards learning. So for the past 2 decades, what has literally taught you lessons you know about life on Netflix, Instagram, Instablog, Gossip Mill, this whole, very, I don't want to use some words, but these platforms don't have the capacity to grow your mind, because the information they give on those platforms cannot reform or inform your mind to act or become better. So because you've dedicated the last 2 decades of your life doing these low-level learning activities that are actually disorientating your mind, Switching to become an actual learner for the right reasons will be a little bit of a Herculean task, but it's achievable. But first of all, you have to, okay, somebody said that the first step to greatness is to getting dissatisfied with a certain level. So you have to first of all get very dissatisfied, very disgruntled with this level of a learner you are. Not until you are fed up with this level of how your mind works towards learning good math. And many times you are in a position where they are really spitting out value, and you just wish your mind can capture all these things and store it. And when you're off that space, you begin to battle. Everything will just fizzle out into the thin air like you never learned, like you never listened to anybody. And it becomes an issue. You begin to ask yourself, is it that my head doesn't retain information? Or is it that I have dyslexia? Or is it that I'm not, is it that book is not my thing? Learning? No. It's a bad learning culture that have been imbibed to you or into you consciously or unconsciously. So if you didn't go home tonight with anything, just know that this is what it is when it comes to learning. Be happy that the scales have been blown off your eyes and you can literally now see what has been worrying you over the past few years as to why you're not retaining things you've been learning. It's because you have a very bad learning culture. So you're not a student, first of all. You don't have timetable. So during the day, you have timetable for eating, you have timetable for bathing, you have timetable for sleeping, you have timetable most of the time for gisting, you have timetable most of the time for hanging out with friends. But one thing many of us don't have time for is that 1 hour, 2 hours for ourselves to learn new stuff. Many of us even have time for watching movies. And like I always tell people when I train, there is anything you call fun today was a social construct. God didn't create any of them from get-go. It was a social construct. It means that you can literally make anything fun. So there's somebody I know that Bible studies is fun. So probably every few days every day he gathers some of his friends and they do Bible study for an hour, 2 hours, and after that they pray and they are fine. Everybody is fine. They are home. Some people their fun activity is reading. It's book club. They go to a book club and they read and they discuss about the particular book and they're fine. Some people is about, going on hackathons. Hackathons is probably techies, that's tech whiz, people that are into tech, they come together, stay in a room, and they begin to do a lot of things around tech. For them, that's fun activities. Same way you can literally condition yourself towards something and make it fun for yourself. So all the things they call fun are all social constructs. You can actually literally be able to define your own fun. So in order not to deviate a lot, the first step towards learning to retain is to become a student. It's important you note that become a student internally. It means that for every day you're looking out to have that little time, pockets of time to put your mind, your eyes, or your ears onto a new information that can help you move to the next level of your career. The second thing towards learning to retain is action. When you act on something you've learned, it becomes impressionable. It becomes very impressionable in your mind. It means that you can literally, so one of the ways that many of us, especially when it actually happened to many of us when we are writing exam in the universities. So most times when you jam a question in the exam hall, some of those questions, you remember the day that the lecturer taught it. All of a sudden you begin to visualize the time, the people who were around you and the lecturer as he was talking. So those are impressionables. Those are impressions at the back of your mind. It helps you to recall. It helps you to remember. So, for example, you're being taught to become a student, or you are being taught on how to sail. For example, tonight I'm going to tell you how to literally become a god at code follow-up, at being able to follow people up, via the phone. You understand? Code calling, as the case may be. Then after teaching you tonight, you literally might forget it if you don't act on this thing almost immediately. But if you're able to act on it and probably get some feedback, it becomes impressionable. It renders impressions at the back of your mind. And that improves memorability. It improves your ability to recall. For example, assuming that many of you, they said they taught you guys last week Saturday, the 5 ways to what? Becoming a better learner or something. Imagine if the greater number of you were able to go back and put those things point by point into action. As in point by point. Literally, you will recall everything today because it leaves impression at the back of your mind. And that's how the human mind works. That's how the human mind works. So when you are acting on a new information, it begins to leave impressions at the back of your mind. The way your hand moves, the way your mind thinks, the way your body moves, the way everything happens, it leaves impressions at the back of your mind, and it helps to cement it. It helps to make it a little bit more, it helps to permanent it. And the more you do it, the more you become much more. And that is how experts are born. An expert is simply someone, Malcolm Gladwell in Outlier stated that for you to become an expert in a field, or for you to become the best version of yourself in your field, you must have been able to invest 10,000 hours in that particular, field of endeavor or vocation, as the case may be. So imagine doing something for 10,000 hours. That's how experts are born. That's how experts are born. That's the difference between a great salesperson and a rookie. It's because of the number of hours you've been able to repeat the same boring stuff over and over and over again. And that is the second way to not forget what you learn. And the most important of that whole, process is acting on what you've learned. So many of us are just information junkies. What about that means that we have a lot of information in our minds, but we cannot necessarily be able to fish them out because we have not been able to arrange the library in our mind through actions. It's unfortunate because as a library owner, the information in your mind is your library. You should be able to fish out any book when somebody asks of it, especially books you've read or courses you've studied. But that could only be possible if you are consistently referring back to that knowledge and acting on it consistently. So for many of us who are on this call tonight, who are battling on remembering stuff, especially things we've been taught, this is the 2 elementary things you must understand that will help you remember almost everything that you have learned or you've been taught. Number 1 is you must love learning. Become a student. Love learning. Vivian is watching Netflix. Love learning. Love learning. Then become an astute action taker. Become a massive action taker. There's no substitute to these 2. If you are consistent with these 2, then your memorability drastically improves. Drastically improves. So you must understand that. So I believe after tonight, by next week Thursday, I believe the greater percentage of us here tonight will be able to recall what you've been taught here tonight. Any questions about that, please? Was that well understood, please?
Yes, sir.
Please, it's important because if we don't get to master the art of learning, everything we are doing every Thursday will be a waste. It's only, and for a trainer, it is bad that it's only 1% of our population that are always making the sales and taking the money home. The idea is to get the greater percentage of us, if not everybody on this call, to become great at sales. And the only way you can become great at sales is by becoming. Many of us think that sales is not a skill you learn, and that is actually a very bad ideology, basically. Sales is, in as much as sales is a practical activity, but you can literally be able to shorten your journey by learning. That's why we have a lot of business schools littered everywhere, because these are some of the skills that they don't teach you in university, in conventional universities. So you can only get them in unconventional universities like the business schools, and you understand. These are raw skill set you must arm yourself with for you to scale. And let me remind you guys again, right? The real estate sales industry is getting competitive by the day.
Collier, share your music.
Extremely competitive. Vivian, can you mute your mic, please? It's getting extremely competitive by the day. So if you're not ahead of the learning curve, you're literally going to struggle. And it's not even a course. If you don't get to learn where tech is taking this industry to, if you don't get to learn where the future is headed for us in this industry, you're going to literally be shooting yourself on the foot. Because that you're not using or implementing it doesn't mean that there are not other readers who are using it or implementing it. And guess what? Because they're implementing it, they're going to steal your clients. Not even steal them, they're going to take your clients. Because they know better than you do. They are better equipped than you do. I don't think there's anybody on this call tonight who doesn't know how to generate leads. Please, if you don't know how to generate leads, type in the comment room, in the chat room, I don't know how to generate leads. So I can literally take you guys on a little crash course on that. So for many realtors, it's not generating leads, it's actually closing those leads. That's where the problem comes in. So we've literally been talking about a lot about different strategies on how to close leads. Wow. Amy, I find you say he doesn't know how to generate leads. Okay. So for the benefit of you, brother, let me just run. Grace raised her hand. Beautiful to note. That is why you don't have to miss services like our midweek service like this. Lead simply means prospects who are interested in your product. That is what leads mean. Then generating lead means being able to get people to get interested in your product and signal interest in your product. That's what generating leads mean. So there are different ways to generate leads, and I will list them out here. Number one is offline strategy. Offline strategy simply means, number one, you go for physical marketing, you meet people at their workplace, in the church, at conferences, and what have you. That is physical lead generation. You meet people at their workplace. It could be in the marketplace. It could be in their work. Anywhere you meet people, and you get to connect with them, and get to educate them about your product. Underline that word: educate. Educate people about your product. Don't just tell. Educate people about your. There are two different things. Educate people about your product. That is offline marketing. Offline marketing. Number one, second way to generate leads by offline marketing is through referrals. So your uncle knows great people. You could tell him to refer his friends to you. He gives you their number or vice versa, and you get to connect with these people. And probably from there, the business conversation begins. The sales process begins. That's the second way to utilize offline lead generation. It's very easy. Lead generation is the easiest way to do. For example, what we are doing here tonight is we have generated leads. All of you on this call tonight are leads. Assuming I have something to sell, which I might still sell at the end of this call, some of you will buy into it, probably because you got value. So what I'm doing here now is that I'm educating you guys. So this is the job you do when you generate leads. So this is the first way to generate leads, offline. Number 2 way is online strategy. So you utilize the tools of the online space to generate leads. Number 1 is use your social media platforms organically. So number 1 way is organically using your social media platforms. Number 2 way is paid adverts. So probably you just boost your content on social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, as the case may be, or even YouTube, as the case may be. So it's online strategies that you either use organical or you use paid adverts. The number 3 way is to use, okay, so the third way to use offline strategy is through print media. Print media is another way to generate leads. So for example, for many of you who are already breaded, who have made a lot of commissions, you can choose to do posters, you can choose to do billboards and put around town and people will reach out to you. And that's another way to generate leads offline, right? So the number 3 way is through traditional media. Traditional media is radio and TV. Radio and TV is another way to generate leads. So if you have the money, you can go to radio and pay for a session for, let's say, 15 minutes, where you can do a call-in, where people call in to ask you questions about real estate. You can talk to them, or you can literally just go there to talk about the importance of buying properties in Port Harcourt for women or for men or for students, as the case maybe. Just use 15 minutes to educate people. And at the end of that show, you drop your numbers and people call you. That is another way to generate leads. You can also replicate that for your TVs. Right? So these are some of the numerous ways to generate leads. So on the offline strategy, on the online strategies, you can use webinars like what we are doing here tonight, webinars to generate leads, which also ties to social media. So you use social media to announce the webinar. People sign up for the webinar like we are doing here tonight. They join up and you walk them through a journey. And at the end of the webinar, you get them to buy your product or to follow up from there. That is also another way to generate leads. So these are some of the ways to generate leads, Mr. Emir. But I will have to tell you something before I leave here. If you have any question, do ask on the chat room, please. Don't hesitate. Don't hesitate, right? So these are some of the ways to generate leads. Of the offline, online and traditional means of generating leads, the cheapest is online. Is online, literally. So like what we are doing here tonight, the only thing we are investing is data and energy. But if you are doing offline strategy, it means that you have to walk from door to door. You have to book appointments ahead and meet people, and they might not show up. If you're using a print media, it means that you have to print a lot of flyers to move around town. You need to put your face on billboards. And most of the time, people that have those kind of financial muscles are companies like ours that have the extra funds to do those kind of things. Going to conferences and marketplaces is not easy. They are actually intensively costly, both financially and demanding energetically. So the cheapest is online. All you need to just do is to intentionally begin to build a personal brand that is tailored towards who you want to be perceived as. Let me repeat. Intentionally begin from today or from whenever you started to build your personal brand, to begin to build a personal brand that people can begin to perceive you as that. For you know what you are aiming at. You know where you want to get to before you monetize your audience. And you can even begin immediately to begin to run paid advert on. So it's far easier. For example, let me give you guys a context. For you to put a billboard in Port Harcourt now, the cheapest you can do per month is 80,000 per month. And the conversion cannot be compared to when you invest 80,000 on a probably, let's say, a Facebook sponsored advert. If you want to do a call-in show on radio for a month, once a week, you should be budgeting at least 200,000. If you do that to run an Instagram ad for probably a product or a webinar, as the case may be like this, you will fill up that space with people. And those are leads. And when it comes to lead generation, number is important because, of course, majority of the people are not going to buy. Many of them are not going to buy immediately. So the more numbers you fill up your lead system with, the higher the probability of you closing leads at the first instance. So these are some of the ways you can be able to generate leads. So Mr. Mocha Obianuji Emmanuel is asking, what is a personal brand? Beautiful. A personal brand is coined from two words, personal and brand. So personal simply means you yourself. A brand simply means what people know you for. So a personal brand simply means how do people interact with your name, your content when you are not there. When your name is mentioned in spaces where you are not present, what do people remember? What do people think about? What comes to their mind is what your personal brand is. For example, if you mention Mr. Eze Maximus in some rooms, which is myself, in as much as many people I've met before I became a real estate person, might have other views, but majority of the people that I've met within my 8 years in real estate will literally think about me and remember real estate investment. In as much as I have all that skill set, I have all that things I do so well at too, the first thing that comes to mind is real estate. It's because I've been able to intentionally position myself to be seen and noticed in that light. That is what a personal brand is. So the question now is, what do people think about? What do people reminisce about when your name is mentioned in rooms where you're not? That is who you literally are. So you might as well tomorrow morning ask 10 of your friends or family members that when people mention my name, what do you remember first? What is that first thing that comes to mind? That is what your personal brand is. And the good news or the bad news here is everybody has a personal brand. But in most cases, because many of us are aware, we've been able to build a very nonsense personal brand. So many people know us as troublesome people. Many people know us as, lazy people. Many people know us as several other things, right? Based off the fact that you relate with people individually, separately. So it will even wow you that tomorrow when you are running that self-assessment test and you're asking people what they know you for, you get like 10 different answers from 10 different people because you have not been able to tell them who you are. You've always allowed them to define you based off how you relate with them. So it's important you begin to build that perspective as quickly as possible. At first, it's going to be difficult, but nothing good literally comes easy. There is no success that didn't go through its tests and trials. It's going to come with a lot of discomfort. Of course, you want to become this new person. So the first set of people you're going to find are those that already know you well from home. They're literally going to make jest of you and be able to tease you to hell, but do not listen to them because they're not part of the journey. You know where you're headed. So that's what a personal brand is. Hope that answers your question, Mr. Obianuju Emmanuel. So having stated that, I'll recommend that the best way to generate leads is via online, right? So you go and begin to build an intentional personal brand, very strategic personal brand. And for many of you who we can't literally be able to take up personal branding, we have done it before. I think some few Thursdays back. We're still going to repeat it again. But for the sake of tonight's call and because of the time is fast spent, the fastest way to build a personal brand is to go to the pages of people you admire and look at what they do and begin to remodel it into your industry and innovate on it. That's the fastest hack towards building a very wonderful personal brand. So if the people you admire that are doing wonders in the industry are not posting nonsense, you are forbidden to not post nonsense. If they all constantly show up dropping value that could help people move from point A to point B, where point B is a better place, it means that you need to start dropping content or value that will move people from point A to point B, where point B is a better place. That is how to intentionally begin to build and craft a very wonderful personal brand. And like I said, for many of you, in order for you not to forget it tonight, it means that the first thing you must do tonight is to go and do that first valuable content on your page. that will stress your head. Yes. Please. That should be the first point of call you must do tonight. So you don't forget about this training tonight, next week, Thursday. So I just told you guys how to generate leads. So many of us on this continent have been able to defeat the demon of generating leads. So literally many of us are already good at meeting people and developing new communication channels, building new relationships, but it's not how to get these people to buy. So tonight I'll look at cold calling and the right path to it. Cold calling and the right path to it. So before I go further to talk a little bit about it, I'd like to let you understand something. That you need to become that person who has a pull effect, not a push effect, when it comes to, endearing yourself, because the idea is to make yourself to become likable, to become somebody of value. The people, when they want to literally learn new thing about an industry, they literally come to you or come to your page, or most of them even pay you for it. So that makes you have that pull effect, P-U-L-L, pull effect. In an industry where many people are pushing and pushing to make sales, you literally be pulling in the sales, pulling in the numbers. You become attractive. You become somebody who attracts, not somebody who chases. So you must always understand that your job is to make yourself likable and become somebody who commands the pull attractive effect. You must learn how to attract an audience, your right audience to you. You must become that person that literally attracts people to come to you and ask you about what you sell. And that comes with a lot of intentionality and a lot of sacrifice. So many of us on this call tonight are literally pushing to make sales. If I ask you, say, I'm pushing, so I'm pushing. You're not supposed to be pushing, for God's goodness sake. You're supposed to be pulling. So one of the ways you can be able to pull, to create that pull effect, is to become somebody of value in your industry. Number one, become somebody of value in your industry. Become a valuable voice in your industry. Become a valuable voice in your industry. Always ask yourself this question: in this real estate sales space in Nigeria, what is my rating? What is my ranking? Very soon they will begin to give best salespeople nationwide. Yeah, very soon. As the system gets a little bit of formality to it, before all these awards begin to take shape, it will now begin to transcend beyond real estate companies. It will now become a national thing. If today the Nigerian realtors community is rewarding salespeople for outstanding performance, are you one of those people that will be recognized as an outstanding and valuable voice in the industry? How many people know you exist in selling real estate? This should challenge your mind. How many people know that you sell real estate in your circle first, in your family, in your church community? How many people know that you sell real estate? Tell yourself that truth. How many people know really? And there's no way you can jump that circle to the bigger community. No. In fact, the people that will actually push your voice or push your name to the greater community is your immediate smaller community. Those are the people that are going to permeate the larger community and sing about your praises and tell them about what you're doing great already. So if you don't know how to dominate your little inner, smaller circle, be it your family, your church, your school, your lecture hall, as the case may be, if the people around you don't know that you sell real estate, you have not begun your journey towards creating a pull effect. It means that literally, if everybody in your lecture hall doesn't know that you sell real estate, it means that when their uncle is out to buy property, they will not remember your name. It means that when somebody in their circle want to buy a property, your name doesn't come to mind. So what magic do you want to make? How do you want all of a sudden become a billionaire selling real estate? In as much as people are doing it. But you have to do the basics. And that's why many of us fall short. So we want to go global without going local. Write that down. You don't do that. In selling real estate, you first of all dominate your locality before you begin to go global. I'm telling you for a fact. I'm telling you for a fact. There is no big voice in any industry today who didn't first conquer his or her locality. You must first, you cannot jump that. If you jump that, you are a fraud. You must conquer your locality. It's a must. You might begin to ask me, what if I go to US? Immediately you enter US, if you land in Atlanta, that Atlanta becomes your locality immediately. It means that you must conquer that Atlanta before you go. So you cannot literally be able to jump that. So in as much as you're looking at the big picture, don't lose sight of your current community, your smaller circle. Don't lose sight of those people. Those are the people that are going to take your messages to the end of the earth. So Jesus was left with just 12 disciples, and those 12 disciples pushed the gospel to where we are today. If he neglected his immediate community of Jerusalem and Bethlehem, the Jesus Christ we know today will not be known. But he understood the power of his immediate community. So you don't miss that. You don't miss that. You must become a powerful voice, but you must start local first. So your mother, your father should know that you are selling real estate proudly. It's not a case of, I don't know what he's doing. Today he's doing real estate, tomorrow he's doing tech, next tomorrow he's doing this. No, you don't want to be seen in that light. You don't want to be seen as a confused person. At least everybody here in this call tonight should be more than 20 years, or even 18 years as the case may be. So you have gone beyond the age of test running. You are now supposed to latch on a particular course and be on it for the long term. So you must take a decision that you want to become a real estate sales consultant, a realtor, or a real estate agent, depending on what you want to call yourself. And that is the foundation of creating the pull effect. Because not until people know you that they will refer you or recommend you or even come to you. Nobody comes to an unknown location. Nobody does that. Nobody comes to an unknown, except probably you are flying on the air and the plane crashes and you landed on it. And that's crashing. Crashing is not an intentional movement. Even when you crash, you're literally looking for a way to run away. So have that at the back of your mind, right? That you must become somebody who is developing that pull effect, the attraction effect. You must become attractive in your industry. You must become somebody of value in your industry if you are going to become somebody who is selling like wildfire. I'm telling you for a fact. I'm telling you for a fact. Many people on this call can literally be able to see that person in their mind, that person who is literally have been able to create that kind of effect in this industry. Even though it is not still at the large scale, but that person have been able to make a little name for themselves in their immediate community. We all know that one person. So you must be able to become a voice in your industry, but you must start local. Let your immediate community, sing your praises. Let them always, become that person in their circle that they always say, oh, this guy is so loud about his vocation. He's so loud about his newfound job or his newfound career. Become that person. And when you must have decided to become a voice, you have to shout at the top of your voice every day. Every blessed day. For the past 8 years, I've been talking about real estate across board, across my circle, across every platform I own or I'm on, sorry. I'm always talking about that. And the greatest people in this industry are always showing up every day. There's no off day. There is no off day. So the idea is to create a pull effect. Now, let's talk about cold closing, right? So many of us have been taught in classes that best way to do cold closing is to call people over the phone and get them to close up over the phone. And many of us have been trying it, calling customers. We've picked up their numbers, and 80 to 90% of the time, these people will mute our calls or not even pick our calls again. And those things literally, drives us crazy. It literally makes us want to ask ourselves some question like, am I sure this is what I'm called to do? Many of us are in that shoe. But you need to understand something, that the human mind evolves. The human species is constantly evolving and adapting. So as at 1999, when phone and mobile network was introduced in Nigeria, we were all excitedly close to we were expecting calls as a people. I think I was very small then. In our house, we had only one phone that was sent to us by our brother then. So we were always expecting calls. So we are just, even if the phone beeped and we all run to it, we want to see how it works, we want to listen to people. So then if we are into selling anything and you call anybody that time, just be rest assured the person will listen to you from beginning to end. And the person might even call you again for the excitement of using a phone. Fast forward to 2025, people are getting tired of calls. In fact, people are tired of calls. Majority of the human populace are riled up by calls. Anxiety. In fact, many people are suffering from phone anxiety currently. Call anxiety. When you call them, they literally toss their phone away. They don't want to. Their minds are noisy, and it causes anxiety. So because of that, that is why it's not like the people you are calling over the phone that gave you the number doesn't want to speak to you, but there is what we call a tipping point in calls as a species. The human race has gotten to a point where they are the tipping point when it comes to answering calls and using calls for sales purposes. I'm not saying it's not working, it's working, but you must understand the context around how it works for you to effectively be able to use it. Please, you have to pay very big attention. And this is a new shift that has come to stay, at least for the foreseeable future. So if you have been wondering why cold calling has not been helping you close off deals, it's because of this one singular reason. The human race has come to a point of evolution and adaptation that literally causes anxiety for majority of the human beings on the planet today. So when you call them over the phone to remind them of a discussion you had about a land or a property yesterday, they literally want to jump off that call as quickly as possible because there's anxiety. The world is now noisy. People wants to shut off the noise. So if you're adding to that noise, there's a high probability that you're going to cause more harm to your sales. And you can also use yourself as an example. How many of us on this call tonight are literally excited about picking up calls as frequently as possible? It's only a handful of us. It's only a few of us that love gist. For many of us that our minds are busy creating stuff, calls come in between our days a lot. And that is the same case for majority of the humans. So what I'm doing here tonight is to open your eyes to some things that seem normal, but they're not really effective again in the industry. But you must know those things. Not until you know them that you'll be able to avoid them. So you might be asking, so now that calling, of course, is a fact, it's no longer doing the magic like we used to do in the last 10 years or 12 years or 15 or 20 years. What do we do instead? Number one is that you must become a good storyteller. You must become somebody who knows how to use their text messages and their instant messengers to ignite and to evoke conversations. Let me repeat. You must become great at using SMSs and instant messages to evoke conversations. Because that way, people have greater control as to how this information comes to them.
There's a place on Lekki Facebook where I used to eat from. There's a place on Lekki Facebook where I used to eat from.
When you call somebody, the person doesn't have control as the information you're going to give him. He or she is literally, exposed to you at that point. So you have total control over the information you give them. But when you send somebody a message, they can choose to open it immediately or choose to open it in the next 2 hours or 3 hours. It's within the jurisdiction to do that. They are in what I'm saying, they still have control. So one of the things you must always arm your prospect with is you must always let them understand or feel that they are in control of the conversation. And the fastest way to get them to control the conversation is by sending them messages and probably instant messages or even emails. That also brings up another issue. Many of us lack text messaging skills. And that is largely because of calls. Now you begin to wonder, do you mean and then need to go back again to learn how to message? Yes. In 2025 and beyond, you must now go back and learn how to type messages that will evoke conversations. I always ask this question. If somebody calls you now, you don't want to pick their call. If they call you, you don't pick the call, but when they send you a message, you open it, don't you? You do. To see their ranting, especially somebody you're owing, for example, somebody you're owing call, you don't want to, but when they send the message, you open it, you read it, you smile. It means that you still have control. And if you're wondering, will messages help me close more? Is calls helping you to close more? Is the question. When people feel in control of the conversation, they are always open to you. They are always indebted to you, especially if you're sending great messages. You meet somebody, the first message is thank him for giving your audience. Don't call. The second message is to wish the person a great day ahead. The third message is to remind the person of the last conversation you did and ask the person if they're in a position to still, have further discussion about this. The fourth message is to ask the person that can you jump on a call now since you've been able to establish the fact that you truly care about the investment. The fourth time it wouldn't kill you. They jump on a call or they don't. And when they jump on a call, it means that you've been able to set a wonderful tone, a friendly tone that will enable you to speak from a place of comfort and trust. I'm telling you, this is a new study. This is a new study, and I'm giving you guys this for free. For many of you on this call tonight, implement this as quickly as possible. Those are your leads that you have generated over the months. This 2025, go back and begin to send them well thought through messages. The third or fourth time, ask them for a call, and if they reply you yes, call. At that point, they are expecting your call. They want to hear you talk to them. So let me not go further on that tonight. I think I've been able to effectively walk you guys through some series of different trainings tonight. We've talked about how to become a better learner that doesn't forget. We talked about how to generate leads. Now we're talking about how to create we talked about how to create a pull effect. Now we've talked about how to close better using how to become a cold closer. You understand? So we've talked about how to become a great cold closer. So we've been able to touch base with almost 4 subtopics tonight. And I believe that if you were here with us from the beginning, you must understand that for you not to forget all the things we've learned tonight, you must act on these individual subtopics we've talked about one after the other, on or before tomorrow by 12 noon. And if you do that, it leaves impression at the back of your mind and it makes it much more memorable for you. So thank you so much for everyone that joined us tonight. I have a lot to talk about, but because time is fast spent, we are almost an hour into this training tonight. I would like to leave the platform for messages for the next 5 minutes so that I can answer your questions. And we'll call it a day. So I will leave the next 5 minutes. And while we are waiting for people to ask their question, I would like to sincerely thank each and every one of you for joining us tonight. This is our midweek free masterclass for our Winner Associate. Our Winner Associate is a group of well-curated and selected people who sell real estate for the Win Realty Limited. And then we constantly put up this show every Thursday to train them and equip them with new information that will help them stand out in the marketplace and be a step further in the marketplace. The aim is to push every one of you on this call tonight to become the top 1% of the 1% in the real estate sales industry. The industry that has the capacity to change your life financially, emotionally, and otherwise, if you let it to do it. And before you can let it do it, you must become an avid student, you must become a student of the industry. It means that you must consistently take up resources that will arm you with the new information that you need to become the better version of yourself in the industry. Like I always remind people every time I train about sales, especially selling real estate, I always tell them that, see, the real estate sales industry in Nigeria is the largest informal employer of labor. Let me repeat, the real estate sales industry in Nigeria is the largest employer of informal labor in Nigeria, and it's never going to slow down because the entry level is zero. Coming to sell real estate in Nigeria is just for you to flick your camera open or take a picture and write on Facebook that you're now a realtor, post on your WhatsApp status that you're now a realtor, and you automatically become one. You don't need to go to university to get your certification and your permit, unlike our colleagues in the Western world that have to spend 2 to 3 years in the school learning how to sell real estate and getting their permit. It is not the case here yet. It doesn't mean it's not going to come. It's still going to come, right? But while we are at it, count yourself lucky that you are joining the industry at this point where it is still very informal and very minimally regulated, especially for salespeople. So this is the reality about the industry. And also you must understand that for the 80% of the sales done in the industry, it's only 20% of the realtors that closes it. And these realtors that close it are people that come to events like this on a regularly, and they implement things that are being taught them on these kind of platforms. So you must become, for you to become part of that 20%, it means that you must become a creative learner and a substantial action taker for you to be able to break into that 20%. There is money in the industry, but unfortunately, it's only to 20% of the realtors that make 80% of the money. For you to be able to become part of that, you must consistently prime yourself to put yourself in positions of learning and taking action, just like tonight. But if you're finding it difficult to be disciplined about taking actions, then I also run a mentee inner circle platform where it is a paid community, it's a paid mentorship community where I hold you by the hand and make sure that you take action that will move you towards becoming a billion naira realtor closer. If that interests you, the winner associate coordinators are on this call, reach out to them and they will point you on the right path towards meeting me. And to also let you understand that the Win Realty Limited has some of the best real estate projects in Port Harcourt and of course Abuja that you can sell and have peace of mind, knowing fully well that they are well purchased, they have great titles, and of course they are duly registered at the Ministry of Lands. These are not bogus claims, they are actually very verifiable, and at your behest, we'll definitely make those documents ready for your citing and your confirmations. So be rest assured that you're working with one of the best real estate companies in Port Harcourt right now in Win Realty, and confidently go about selling our product without looking over your shoulder. Thank you once again for joining us tonight. If you have any question, please don't hesitate to ask it on the group. If you don't have anyone coming to your mind, if it comes to your mind at any point, use our dedicated WhatsApp groups to ask your question. Of course, we'll be right there to answer you. And we will also encourage you to drop your questions for next week Thursday so I can answer them next week Thursday. You can reach out to the Winner Associate Coordinator to drop your questions and I'll adequately answer them next week Thursday. So I'm not the only person that trains here on Thursday. Some days we might bring other faculties that are specialties in every other aspect that will help you become a well-grounded and well-molded real estate consultant. Once again, thank you so much for joining us tonight and have a wonderful night rest and weekend ahead. God bless you.
Thank you so much. A lot was how to learn without forgetting. Very powerful. That one got me. Thank you so much, sir. Really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody that stayed to this time. Please, let's not forget, we are still on our Project Landlady 1.0, which started on the 1st of September and is going to run for 3 months. We have 4 estates that brought out for this project, which is the Bronze City at Ipooma. We have the Onyx at Omagwa. We also have the Ishopo, that's Amazon, and Sapphire Italy. We explain it in details on the flyers. So I'll be reposting those flyers on the main WhatsApp group. So please go through it, send it to that market woman, that business woman. It's actually for everybody, not just market women or market men, so everybody. So this is the opportunity for you that have not sold a lot to sell, because that's the plan of the company, that's the vision, that's what they really want to happen. For those associates that have not sold before, the newbies, the old ones, this is the best time for you to sell. So please, if you want more information on this project that is going on, do well to reach out to me through this number. It's also on the platform as associate coordinator, and I will explain more in details for you. Thank you very much. And also remind your prospect of Saturday's inspection by 9 a.m. And of course, if there's any other inspection before that day, do it to also reach out to us, and we'll let you know the process and how to go about it. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, T. Thank you, Ego Esther. Thank you, Dixon Glory. Thank you, Mocha, Obia, Julu, Emmanuel. Thank you, Brown, Perry Brand. Thank you, Vivian. Thank you, sir. So, good night.
Night. Bye.
Bye.